take your coffee break with me. Come and take your coffee break with me. Come and take your coffee. Come and take your coffee. Come and take your coffee break with me.
So welcome to Coffee Break with Candace. We're so glad you're here. If you would tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Cheryl Parks. I am currently based in the San Francisco Bay Area, but I am a Brooklyn, New York native, and that's a part of my story. I'm currently a mindset and sales coach, and I help founders, leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives really uncover and discover their true, natural, and unique sales style so they can activate sales and really build the business that they've dreamed of. So that's a little bit about me. I'm married. We have a blended family of 4, 3 girls and a boy. They're all adult children out in the world living their lives. And that's kind of where I am in this space in the world right now.
Oh, that's awesome. So you know what? We're just going to let you dive in and tell your story. I'm already excited.
Okay, that's awesome. So as I mentioned, I'm a sales and mindset coach, and I work in the business world typically, and my experience has always been in corporate, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But the most significant part of my story is that I moved around a lot as a young person, and I was probably on average your typical shy kid, not overly shy, but had lots of friends and interesting relationships and that type of thing. That all kind of came to a halt when I moved from New York to California in the mid-range. I want to say it was January of 79. So right in my early high school years. And it just seemed like from there, I just completely went into a hole. I probably stayed in my room for a full year. I'd be in there writing 30-page letters to my friends back in New York. And I'm going to put a little context to how shy I was in my high school years. I literally was so shy that when I would ride the city bus home, I wouldn't even want to ring the bell or the buzzer or whatever it was at the time to get off the bus. I would just keep riding along and get off with the next person and walk back because I didn't want people to wonder, like, why is she standing up? What's she doing? So
Wow.
I literally did not want to be seen or heard. I did a lot of self-reflection over the years and a lot of mindset development, but that was a significant part of my my life in those developmental years. So I'll get into a little bit more about what I did and how I did it and where I am now. But suffice it to say, I still have that shy girl in me, but at this point in my life, I control the shy girl and she doesn't control me. So I'll give you some examples of that down the road. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of my story and how it fits into my sales career and my family and all of those things. So
Wow. So let me ask you a question. So you moved from California to Brooklyn?
I moved from New York. We actually were in Rochester, New York,
Okay.
to the San Francisco Bay Area in California. So I currently live in Oakland, California, but this is my home now, but I literally moved across the country kind of like in the early high school years.
Okay. So what about that transition do you feel contributed to you being so shy?
So I think a couple of things, and I've only just uncovered this in the last 5 years, but I found that I had made really solid relationships in the New York area. And then what ends up happening is we moved to California, and obviously I didn't have any of those relationships. I had one really good girlfriend that I had known in New York, and she lived in California. And she was what you might call a play cousin. Some of us know what those are. So she's my play cousin, and I still am very connected to her even now. But I think what happened was we also lived in the suburbs. And so I went through a whole process where I was really trying to find myself and figure out who I was, because I didn't fit in with the people in the suburbs at that time that didn't look like me at all. And I also didn't fit in with a lot of the students that were coming in from the city into the suburban school because I didn't live in the city. And so there was a really, I would say, a significant time frame where I was really trying to figure out, who I was, what type of person I was going to be, and those types of things, the things that you typically try to, formulate in your high school years. So, what I went through was I got to kind of an area in my late teens, early 20s, and I thought, you are never going to accomplish anything that you have planned if you don't learn to speak up and speak out and just really understand who you are and the type of person that you want to be. So what I did was I started doing a lot of mindset development on my own. I'm a huge, I consume lots of information. I'm always reading articles and watching documentaries and things like that. Just those are the things that get my juices flowing. So I started doing a lot of mindset development over my probably early 20s. And I started doing things like, my first mantra was act like the person you want to be. And what that meant to me was look at who I want to be in 3 to 5 years and act like that person so that I would begin to walk the walk and have order my steps, right? So as I went through that, I started in the sales field. My father was in corporate sales. So for me, that jump into sales was not a significant leap because I saw what he did for a living. He made a good living. We had a good life, things like that. So that wasn't a huge leap. But I didn't realize that part of sales is knocking on lots of doors and picking up the phone and talking to strangers. So you can imagine, as a shy girl, it took me a while, and I had to begin to, when I had to walk into a door and I was unfamiliar, I literally would act like I was going on stage. And so I would play something in my head that would just remind me that you're stepping into kind of an act. So I started acting like the person I wanted to be. I would develop another mantra later that was be your excellent best, which I'm kind of back to using now. Other mantras that I have were be so good they can't ignore you. Excuse me, I add a caveat to that one because that one means you are still needing people on the outside to validate you. So that one is, I say, use with caution because you don't really want to have to go the route of having that anyone outside yourself validate that what you're doing is important and
Sure.
Significant, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So other things I did were just, I always play mind games. I'm the person that, puts gas in my car and I buy a bottle of water. I have a $10 bill and I go, okay, instead of just saying the rest on pump 5, I literally am making my own change. And so I'll say, $8.95 on pump 5, which always gets people going like, you actually do math. I did a lot of mind games to really help myself get from point A to point B to point C. At this point in my life, my passwords are all very specific to my goals. So one of the goals I have is to help my clients sell $5 million in 1 year. And my passwords are associated with that, with symbols and exclamation marks, et cetera. Things like that. So you can change your password on your phone, your laptop, any of your devices to get you focused on where you're trying to go. And that's one of the things that I'm big on is I'm always telling my mind, where are we going? And I'm giving myself triggers all day long to get me there.
So let me go back just a little bit because I'm curious, because you said that you would read a lot and you would give yourself mantras even early on, and you were doing sales. Did you seek out that information? Did you say, I'm going to read this book, or I'm going to look at this thing, and then you created, those mantras were created? Or how did you get to where, you were doing the things you were doing? Because it seems like a huge leap to me, and not something that I would be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go and read and get a mantra and figure out life. I mean, what you did is really pretty remarkable, considering that you were so shy, that you would not even ring the bell on the bus. Like, that's huge to me, because I might not want to walk all that. Like
Right.
now the next person ringing the bell, I might not want to walk. So
Right.
for you to be so shy that you were willing to do that to get to that next step of being a salesperson to where you are now, I would love more of what it took.
Sure. So this may or may not work for, lots of people, but when you're shy, typically I think people consider that, oh, if you're shy, you're not in a thinking mode when you're around other people. When you're shy, you're observing everything. You're looking at the roles that people play. You're associating the role they play with the title they have. So if you tell me you're a protector and someone's disrespectful to the person that you care about or someone in your space and you don't step up, then in my mind, I'm like, yeah, they're not really a protector, you know? So there were lots of things that I listened to and I just absorbed. And I would hear people in a room, maybe I went to a networking event and I wasn't doing a great job of networking, but I was definitely listening to the conversation behind me where the person was saying, I just read this great book, right? Or I was looking at, and a lot of this is pre-internet, right? So I was looking at what people were reading on the bus, on the plane, on the train. I mean, I was always observing things around me to just try to soak in how am I going to navigate this, right? And the interesting thing about being shy or introverted, so anyone that has been introverted is gonna realize that you don't feel like there's anyone to ask. It never occurred to me to find someone that may have been shy and ask them what they did. Or an introverted person. I mean, the whole gist of it is you don't go outside yourself. You're just kind of thinking in your own mind and you're forming your own thoughts. And it's really necessary for those thoughts to take you to positive areas because usually it's a megaphone of like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, or don't hold your hand up, or all of those things. So you want that megaphone in your head to be telling you, take the next step. When you go to the networking event, you can't bring a friend or bring your husband. And the reason for that is it'd be really easy to stand in the corner and just talk to my friend or my husband. So
Yeah.
I would make myself just do things that were uncomfortable slightly that didn't have me always shaking on my boots, which I think shaking on your boots is a good thing, but I would always just push that envelope just a little bit. So things like not bringing the girlfriend with me, which, and understanding your own limitations, right? So as you're talking to people or you're going somewhere, understanding that I know me and I'm not going to venture out if I have a comfort zone that I can just stay in, things like that. So always observing and paying attention with the internet. Oh my gosh. You can literally Google great books for, there's a book, What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. There are books, Start With Your Why. There are articles that you can read. You could Google shy girls, articles for shy people to read, and you will get pages of information. And you can just kind of start down that path. But when I was doing it, it was a lot of observing what was around me and also looking at other people thinking, okay, I like what they're doing. So how do you do that? And then I would come up with my plan to navigate to that area.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
really, really incredible. Yes.
yeah.
Like it's so good.
Thank
Oh my
you.
goodness.
Thank you.
Wow. So you're in sales. And then tell us how you get to this juncture where you are now and doing the things that you're doing.
Sure. So when I jumped into sales, one of the things I said to myself was, I always want to be referenceable. And what that meant to me is, and I don't even know if that's the correct context of the word, but I want people that I work with and that I helped solve problems for and that bought things from me. When they saw me on the street, I want them to say, oh, hey, that's Cheryl. She helped us do XYZ. Not that Cheryl. Don't ever buy anything from her.
That's awesome.
Right?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So what it did for me is it separated me from your typical salespeople. And when I say typical, meaning a lot of the people that I worked around which were about just getting the sale, bringing it in, and going out to get another sale. And back when I was coming through sales, that was called being a hunter. And typically that was for new business. So you're going out to find new clients. What I found was I was really good at building relationships with people. And again, I think that goes to, I can empathize with anyone that doesn't want to step in and use their voice. So I'm all about the underdog. I love champions. I think champions are phenomenal. I love their focus and their ultra, laser attention on details. But the underdog, like, I love underdogs because it's just so, because it's in us, it's in them to do better. It's just a matter of finding what that looks like and how to bring it out. And so that's really the significant part for me, is working with people that I feel might be sales awkward, sales confused, maybe sales frustrated, maybe they don't understand the process of selling. Or, a lot of times it goes beyond that. It's interviewing, it's doing business. It's broader than just that sales process. I work with a lot of people that don't have business background and they don't understand why the buyer chooses them. So I worked for corporate for, almost 25 years.
Wow.
And I sold to major corporations like Chevron, Discover Financial, Wells Fargo Bank, back in the day when they were kind of growing. And I realized that my sweet spot, my natural superpower was that I love to find out what motivates people to be the best version of themselves. And then I'll add something to it on the day of our presentation.
Wow.
So not the day before, not the day after. How can I get you to show up as your best self on the day that we need you to? And so this is a short story. I coached a team of 5 or 6 people from all different disciplines within a company. One was operations director, another was the CEO, the chief financial officer. There was a customer service person involved. And we had an opportunity to win Discover Financial. And that was at the time and still is a tier 1 credit card company. And they needed us to do their rewards program where you spend $10,000 on your Discover card and we're going to give you 2,000 points. You can get rewards to go eat at a big box restaurant or donate to a charity of your choice and things like that. So to cut the story down, the first day I said, let's just jump in, everybody stand up and present what you do. And if you've ever seen the movie The Bad News Bears, that was kind of what it was.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh no. I was like, because I was consulting for them. I had worked there and I left the company and they brought me back to consult. But I knew in my heart of hearts, they need to be empowered to actually land this deal, because once the deal comes in, I'm not going to be there anymore, right?
Sure.
So they need to do the heavy lifting. So we practiced and we, came up with mantras and just quieting the voice in the head. And I have a way I do sales coaching with teams where you have a 50-50, kind of like the game, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Where you can say, I'm not sure if the answer is this or this, right? You have one of those. You may have one time to say, you know what, I need to call a friend, right? So in the meeting, if that's not something you can answer, you have one time to say, I think the CEO might be the better person to answer that, by name. And so I let them know they don't have to be salespeople. They just need to be the best version of themselves. So the end story is they ended up winning this deal. It was a 3-year $1 million deal.
Wow.
We had put posters all around the office that said, be your excellent best, which is one of my mantras. And they won it. They owned it. Like, I started the room at the front. There were like 15 people in this room. Discover had brought, 8 or 9 people with them. And I ended the meeting. It was a full day meeting in the very back of the room, watching them interact as a team and ask the right questions and engage with the right people. That was when I fell in love with coaching. I was like,
No, but that's
I'm done.
amazing. That is
Yeah,
really
it was.
amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. It was.
Yeah.
That was my first $1 million coach deal.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and the first time that I knew that was my superpower, being that I understood where we came from and then how they ended it, and knowing that they were fully accountable and they own the result, and what that does for someone when you can do it again. If you did it once, you can do it again and again. And
Yeah.
so I just feel like that was where my impact was. So that's where I fell in love with coaching. And I worked for other companies for a decade after that, but for the most part, that's where I knew how to take that particular model and use it in all of the other areas, all of the other roles I was in.
Oh, wow. So what was
Yeah.
the day you said, I'm creating this company. I'm taking a leap of faith and I'm gonna do Cheryl Parks.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's a great question. So I'm going to caveat this with, it wasn't on my decision.
Oh, okay.
The division that I worked for was sold to another company, and I got what's called a package. And it was, I had to determine if I wanted to go back to corporate or if I wanted to go on my own. And I took some time. I actually took a coding class. I took a marketing, SEO, and content writing class. I thought, well, maybe I want to do some type of marketing. Do I want to get into coding? Coding is definitely not my thing. God bless the coders out there.
Yes.
No, it's not my thing. I'm whatever brain they are, I'm the other brain. I'm the other side. So I just realized that I've always tested off the chart in autonomy and entrepreneurial nature. And I just thought you should just go and actually get into the coaching environment where I'm working with people that need that support and that don't want to be salespeople. They want to be themselves as a CEO, and they want to understand how to have that elevated sales conversation, or they want to understand how to negotiate in an elevated manner with the conversation and all the things that you do to prepare for that. Because that was my role in all the companies, was to start from new business all the way through contracting. So I have specific experience in those, all of those segments that take you through becoming a client.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yes. So I still feel like I want like a little more,
Sure.
I mean, two things are evident to me. Number one is how much you love what you do and
I
how
do.
much you love people. And
Yes.
the other thing is that no matter how many times you say it, when I hear you and I'm looking at you and I see the energy in your face and the excitement,
Mhm.
it's like, this is so hard to believe this is a shy girl.
Right.
So I
Yes.
know it's true because you've told me,
Yes.
but just that amazing journey that you've had to be this person I get to, talk to right now. It's like,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah, it's so
I
cool.
appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome, but it's so true. But I want to know if there was, I know you did these other things to try to determine, hey, will I go out on my own? Will I continue in corporate? But was there a pivotal moment? Was there a thing in your head that just said, hey, bet on you.
And
Let's
on
get
me.
out. Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So the pivotal moment really was when I realized that I had a couple of decisions to make. I thought, okay, you can go back to corporate, and I hate to say this, again, this is nothing around working for a company or corporation or making a good living and having great insurance and 401ks. That's all great, but I knew if I, again, knowing my self limitations, I knew if I went back to corporate, that was like the golden handcuffs. That's what I always called
Hmm.
it. Was
Sure.
It's just so easy to fall in and get kind of comfortable, and you're making impact here and there, but I just didn't feel like I was like my wings were. I didn't feel like I was actually flying. I felt like I was just going in. You can even tell with my body language. Like when my arms go up, and then going to corporate, it was like I got a little smaller, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No,
so
no, but definitely because
yeah,
I guess that was part of it. It's just like you have proven success in that world.
yeah,
So to go to something completely unfamiliar Like, yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's a big deal. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I come from a family. My father wasn't, he was in corporate sales and became an entrepreneur. So I saw what that looked like. So getting someone, a mentor, somebody you can observe along the way is super helpful. And then the second piece of it is my mom was a registered nurse. And I've come to realize that the medical profession, you'll identify with this, one are trusted advisors, right? So that's what salespeople always are trying to be, is a trusted advisor. But they're always asking very, I'll call them neutral questions, meaning when you go to your doctor's appointment, the doctor doesn't come in and say, "Oh, you sound like you have a cold." You know what I mean?
yeah.
They actually will ask you questions to help them understand what is actually going on. Oh, it's allergies, right? I mean, they don't come in with this preconceived notion or this idea that they are trying to check mark on disease states. You
True.
know
No,
what I
that's
mean?
true. Yeah.
Yes. So they come in open to understand and ask good questions and hopefully uncover what's going on, the underlying. And they do it fairly quickly because of experience and education, obviously, right? So the goal is always to be that trusted advisor that doesn't come in as a salesperson with their own agenda.
So we're gonna switch it up a little bit and turn to my segment, Who Said That?
Okay.
Yes, where I will give you a quote and, if necessary, a clue. And if you give me the correct answer, I will donate to a charity of your choice.
Awesome.
And what is your charity today?
I also volunteer with Girls Inc. of Alameda County, which is
Awesome.
based in Oakland, and I love them. So that would be my charity.
Oh, I love it. That's fabulous. Awesome. So the quote is, get busy living or get busy dying.
Goodness, I've heard that quote before.
Girl, you should know this one. It's from my favorite movie.
Can I get a clue?
Yes, it's from my favorite movie. No, that's not the clue.
That's my clue. Love it.
I know, you're like, oh, okay, I just met her. So, wow,
Yeah.
that's not helpful. But it really is from this incredible film. It was a prison-based movie. And
Okay.
I will say at the time that it came out, there were two prison-based movies that came out. One that really did well in terms of the award show, and this one was sort of a sleeper film, so to speak. But it comes on all the time.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly what movie you're talking about, and I can't think of the name of it.
I'll take the name of the film. I'll take the actor that said it in the film. I'll take the director who directed that film.
Okay, you know what? I think it's a Samuel Jackson movie. That's the only thing I can think of.
What?
And I cannot remember the name of it.
No, it's Morgan Freeman, Shawshank Redemption.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I was stuck on something else.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Girls Inc.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna still donate to Girls Inc. because I mean we got to keep the girls going. Huh? Yes.
I love it.
I don't even know why I give anybody like like this. Except I like seeing if somebody can get a quote, because I usually go, well, I'm just gonna donate anyway. This is a good cause. Like no one comes.
Oh, I appreciate you. That is awesome. I love it.
Oh no, it's all good. No, but nobody comes here with a bad cause. Like there's so many great organizations, and I think the fun part of doing this is also learning about those organizations.
Yes, absolutely. They do great things trying to get the young ladies that come through the organization centered on nutrition, fitness, and getting ready for college. And they help them with the skills and all of the soft items that they need to get there, right? I mean, backpacks and all their school supplies and laptops and things like that. So
that's awesome. No, that's fabulous. Yes. Anyway, but it's just been a joy to have you on this, on Coffee Break with Candace. And as I mentioned, this will also be on my Strong Women in Medicine podcast. But like I say, it is so clear and so evident the joy you have for your work and for people. And that, again, that's so special, so needed in this time. And thank you. And please continue to do the things you're doing.
Yes. And thank you very much.